American Psycho, the book, by Bret Easton Ellis. I recently finished the book, and prior to me reading this book, I have seen the movie many times before. So how does the book compare to the movie? That is the main subject I'm going to be talking about in this video. I'm not going to explain the basic plot of the book or the movie. I think everybody knows. Instead of that, I'm gonna just give my thoughts about the book and is the movie better or the book is better? Which one it is? Which one is better? I probably don't need to explain the plot of the story because all of you have seen the Sigma male edits that, that's all you need to know basically. But one thing that I do need to explain probably is what is this? This is a book. I know a lot of you might not know this. This is kind of like a movie, but it's in your head. And like I said, I have seen the movie many times before reading this book. So what was my first thoughts when I started reading this book? And what are my thoughts after I finished it? I'm gonna immediately start with, in my opinion, I prefer the movie. Yes, you heard me correct. After reading this, I prefer the movie, and I will explain why. And yes, sometimes movies that are based on books are better than the books. Don't let the snobs tell you otherwise, right? Just because something is a book doesn't mean it's immediately superior to a movie, right? There's a lot of these snobs, these book snobs, that you can tell they don't even think about it. They just immediately assume the book is better. But I'm gonna state the reasons why I think the movie is better than this. By the way, I love this cover. I think it perfectly summarizes the story. Matter of fact, this cover is the reason why I even bought the book to begin with, because it's very good. So my main reason why I like the movie better is the fat. The book has a lot of unnecessary fat. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you've seen the movie, you have these scenes where Patrick Bateman in his inner monologue, in detail, almost like this pedantic, over-the-top detail, Patrick Bateman in his inner monologue talks about what people are wearing, right? He exhaustively talks about his favorite CDs and stuff like that, right? And this book has a lot of that, right? A lot of this book is Patrick Bateman describing what people are wearing, his items in his house, his newest electronics. It goes into a gruesome detail quite often about Patrick's murderous sprees. If you thought the movie is disturbing, the movie has nothing on this book. I mean, I'm not even gonna tell some of the things that Bret Easton Ellis wrote in this book. They were so disturbing, and in my opinion, unnecessarily so, right? Because if you look at the movie, what I like about it and what I think why it's superior to this, it has no fat. Imagine the movie, if the movie was twice as long and those extra scenes was just nothing but him talking about what others are wearing, him talking about what kind of electronics and items he has or is about to buy, and more details about his disturbing murderous acts in excruciatingly painful details. I mean, so everyone remembers from the movie the scene where he kills the homeless guy, right? For instance, or the scene with the chainsaw. This book has many more scenes like this, and even scenes that are more disturbing, of Patrick Bateman doing some atrocious things. But in my opinion, all these extra things are unnecessary. In the movie, it's perfect amount where we get it, and the movie does a great job at moving the story without the half of this book is basically Patrick Bateman describing what people are wearing, electronics, talking about music. There's like entire chapters dedicated to describing his favorite CDs. It's unnecessary because we get the point, right? When we have few scenes of him doing this, we already get the point, right? In my opinion, there's no point just not moving on and just constantly having these chapters where he does nothing but talk about what people are wearing or going on about yet another CD or having these murders that, okay, we get it, we don't need yet another disturbing in detail scene about him committing atrocities, right? After like two, three of these moments, we get it. But the book is just unending. Just it's like repeats itself, right? And in my opinion, that's the weakness and why the movie is better, because the movie makes a point and then moves on, and the book just keeps hitting on the same notes. And I get you're gonna say, oh, what that was on purpose, and I get it, but there's a limit. He's a psychopath, right? He commits all these atrocities. We don't need 5 more. Cut half of this book and it would actually be better. The movie cuts out all the unnecessary fat that this book has, right? It makes all the points that the book makes without going on and on with the same. Honestly, reading this book felt like just Patrick Bateman describing what people wear. Like, that's like 80% of this book. He's like, I get it. I get the point. He's obsessed about these material things, right? He tries to fit in, so he studies these catalogs with clothes and electronics. So he has, right, all the same things that everybody has. So he fits in all that. I get it, right? You don't need to go on and on about describing his new sound system in 2 chapters, right? Or whatever the book does. So that's one reason why the movie is better, in my opinion. The second is the order. You see, the movie takes some of these things that happen in the book and switches the ending. The ending of the movie is not the ending of the book. It's like the last second half, but it's not the ending. And there's few of these instances that happens, and I think the movie makers did a good job at taking certain moments that happen in the book and rearranging them. And the best example of that is the ending. The movie has a great ending. The ending of the book is very different, and it's not that great. It basically has a flat ending where there's few moments where it was a good point to stop, but the author just continued, and the ending of the book is kind of a meh, right? There's not this strong point that the movie has. But yes, do I think you should read this? Honestly, there's not much point of reading this book if you have seen the movie. Reading this book is not gonna give you something that you didn't get with the movie. Yes, you will find out some more things about Patrick Bateman. There's some chapters about his family, so you will know more things about his personal life. But that, to me, that wasn't important to the overall story that this book has. So honestly, I don't think there's even necessity to read this book. I honestly think watch the movie. If you're a super fan of the movie, sure, read it. And obviously there are probably plenty of people who love the book more than movie, and maybe even I'm in the minority of people who think that the movie is better. But honestly, I don't think there's much point, because it's not like there's some books like Fight Club, for instance, the book is different enough that it's actually worth it to read it, because the filmmaker David Fincher changed enough things that, and also the book is better. The book and film are different enough so that there's a point to reading the book and watching the movie, right? But in this, the book and the movie, the story is not like, it's not different enough to a point where you have to, you're gonna get a kind of different, not perspective, but different flavor. The filmmakers did a great job translating this story to film. So there isn't even that big of a point of reading it, because you're not gonna get anything new, right? All you're gonna get is a bunch of extra chapters about, like I said, him just going into and talking about what people are wearing, and more violent scenes that don't add anything to the overall story. Because again, you show something once, twice, we get it. But this book just, it's, Bret Easton Ellis is not satisfied with just showing you and once, twice. He has to do it 10 times, 15 times, right? And this is maybe my personal pet peeve, but I don't like wasted pages. Like, if something doesn't need to be there, just cut it. And in my opinion, this book has a lot of those chapters that they don't add anything. If anything else, they actually make the book worse. You're basically reading these chapters like, okay, this chapter, he's gonna talk about some CDs or some electronics, like, and you're just trying to speed read because the story isn't progressing, right? You're just reading these chapters that just describe pointless things that the point was already made 20 chapters ago. But the writer just keeps having these filler chapters, essentially. And I'm not a fan of that type of writing. So yeah, that's my opinions about the book versus the movie. I'm kind of rambling because I did no preparations for this. So this is my kind of on the spot thoughts. Hopefully it made some sense. Yeah. And even if you haven't seen the movie or read the book, I would recommend just seeing the movie.